Hey, toy fans, we have a great guest so big, it's going to take 2 podcasts just to interview him. That's right, the Toylines podcast and People of Eternia are crossing over. Welcome to People of Eternia. I'm Tom Romero. Hey, toy fans, did you ever love something but didn't know quite how to express it? Do you think you're brave enough to tell the world about your passion, even though it's perceived as an immature obsession? My guest today does have that bravery. He's shown the world that, like comics, toys aren't just for kids. He's helped legitimize the adult collector, and he's amassed a huge following, both children and adult alike. He's a well-respected man in the toy community, and along with his wife, he's inspired other toy collectors to explore their passions, especially Masters of the Universe. You can find all of his videos on YouTube, and he's about to release his first book, The Toys of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. You know him as Pixel Dan. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Daniel Erdley.
Hey, what is going on? Thanks for having me, man. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. I mean, I'm excited for your book. You know, you've been just a huge part of the community, and I'm going to be honest with you, as a personal note, you've always been kind to me since the first day I met you at the Power Party.
Awesome. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's been years now too, right? And I know that we always see each other at Toy Fair and everything every year. And honestly, that's one of my favorite things about doing what we do and getting out there and getting to travel. I love meeting like-minded people that are all just, sharing our passions and, covering the content or whatever we're doing with it. I think it's been a real honor and a blessing just to meet so many cool people from all over the world. So, and you're part of that, man.
Thank you. Oh, and I forgot to introduce my best buddy and co-host, Ian Westhoff.
Sorry I'm late, everybody.
Ian.
How's it going, Ian?
Good, how are you?
Good, man.
So, Dan, you gave us a pretty big health scare this past holiday season. How are you feeling? I mean, you look great.
Thanks.
I'm glad everything's working out for you, I hope.
Yeah, things are going good. I'm feeling a lot better now. So I was diagnosed back in the beginning of November with Bell's palsy. And it's something that I had always kind of heard of or known of, especially growing up a pro wrestling fan. A lot of people remember Jim Ross dealing with Bell's palsy for a time.
Oh, okay.
I didn't realize how common this was until after I was diagnosed, because so many kind people reached out to me and shared their own experiences with me. The good news is it's not anything that's life-threatening or anything that's really going to get in the way of my life too much. But it was very scary when it happened. If you're not familiar with what Bell's palsy is, essentially it's temporary paralysis of your facial nerves. Wow. So, it was really scary because I was just working one day and basically the left side of my face just stopped working. I couldn't blink my eye. My mouth started drooping down on the left side. I couldn't speak good. I thought I was having a stroke, to be perfectly honest. I thought that's what was going on. So my wife quickly rushed me over to the ER, and that whole process was very scary, let me tell you, because when you get there and you show up with those symptoms, that's exactly the way the ER acts. We need to make sure you're not having a stroke. Right. So as soon as they saw me and I told them what was going on, they whisked me straight to the back and they started doing all the stroke tests to me, testing different reflexes and doing lots of stuff like that. So that was pretty scary. But after they concluded the testing, they were basically able to they were fairly safe in saying, we don't think this is a stroke. this seems more like Bell's palsy, which the good news is this isn't life-threatening in any way. So you should be fine just to kind of wait in the waiting room for now. We're going to run a bunch of tests. We'll see how that goes. So then I had to sit in the waiting room for 5 hours, not knowing what was going on. And every so often they would call me back, and I had to have a CT scan and all that stuff. So I had to go through all the scary stuff you always imagine would happen when you have to get rushed to the ER for something like this. But at the end of it all, that was what the diagnosis was, is Bell's palsy. And the good news is it's not anything that's really the weird thing is they don't know the exact cause of Bell's palsy. It's something that could honestly have been in my system for years, and I just had my first attack. So what happens is it's like a temporary paralysis that affects 2 of your major nerves in your face, causing you to just go paralyzed in half of your face. And you just essentially have to wait for it to run its course. So like they prescribed me some steroids and some different, I think it was 2 different medications, basically to help the healing process. And it took about 2 months for me to regain all motor skills in my face. So it was stressful, and it was one of those things where I was very relieved because it could have been far worse. I'm not in any danger, so I was absolutely counting my blessings for that part of it. But the other part of it is it became very stressful in the fact that all the little things you don't think about every day become very difficult. Eating food, drinking specifically out of a straw became impossible because the left side of my mouth just didn't work. At nighttime when I would go to sleep, I had to tape my eye shut or wear an eye patch because I couldn't close my eye. And I had to constantly put eye drops in my eye all day long to keep it moist. So it was stressful. And, I definitely got a little depressed a little bit through the process, just because, when you just can't do normal things, that kind of affects you just mentally a little bit. So,
right. But you're afraid you won't get your reflexes back.
There's always that too. So like they did tell me that I was lucky and that it was what they considered a mild case, and that they didn't think I would have any permanent damage from it, because Bell's palsy can strike hard enough that it could cause permanent damage, like to your face. Like some people never, like they never lose the droop in their mouth, or they never lose, so I got pretty lucky that I'm basically 99% back to normal right now. Okay. I still have a little bit of like a flutter in my eyelid every now and then, or my mouth. Like basically there'll be times where the muscles in the left side of my face just feel tired. Like when you smile real big, or like you like have one of those moments where you're smiling and laughing a lot and your mouth gets really sore and tired from all the smiling. Sometimes that's how the left side of my face feels just at the end of a normal day. Yeah. So, but the good news is like the doctors think I'm going to be pretty good. They expected this to be a full recovery. The only thing is once I have it. And, so I'm prone to future attacks, but they said that attacks happen like every 10 to 15 years. So it could be another 10 years before this happens again. Right. And they said that, that's not even a for sure thing. Like if it happens again, at least you'll know what it is next time, they basically told me. So yeah, it was scary, but at the end of the day, I'm very healthy, and I made pretty much a full recovery. So I'm very grateful for that, for sure.
Yeah. Is there anything you can take for that? Did they prescribe anything for future,
No, they didn't give me any like permanent prescriptions. They basically gave me the steroids. It was 2 different medications. I don't remember exactly. One of them was definitely a steroid. But those were just kind of like a regiment that they put me on. And once I went through that course, they decided I didn't need to continue taking it. So there's not really much you can do for it after that. And it's been fine. Like it hasn't really been bothering me. Every now and then I have my days where I'm just like, I have that tired feeling, but for the most part, I'm doing fine. So
well, that's good. Like I said, you look great. We've been watching your videos. I mean, everything's going well, it seems. So let's jump into your book. Congratulations.
Oh, thanks, man.
Have created basically a tome, The Toys of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, now available on Amazon Prime. So head on over, pick up your copy. But if you're a super He-Man fan, head on over to thepower-con.com and order not only the Toys of He-Man and Masters of the Universe, but a Part 2 compendium to the books that you've already received, probably.
Yeah, so that's like a bonus to the character guide. So if you bought the character guide that came out a couple years ago, that's like extra content for that. So it's a nice bonus.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So could you tell me a little bit about the book? Here's one of the pages that was shown at PowerCon.
Yeah.
Now, this is a great layout. You have the carded figure, the bio. I really couldn't read what's underneath the figure itself. Is that your own personal written description, or what is that?
You're talking about the main text on the page right in the middle there?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's my personal write-up on the figure. So basically for every figure, it's not like a personal review or anything like that. It's like informational. So information about the figure that came out, any kind of backstory you need to know about the actual figures, production. It describes what all comes with the figure. So it's very informational. When we put together the idea for this book, that's what we wanted it to be. We wanted this to sort of be a nice coffee table book that was an easy reference to all of the Masters of the Universe toy lines. So you can easily flip through it. You can find the figure you're looking for, and it just gives you basically all the information, full turnarounds of the figure, shows you all the accessories, and gives you that nice complete snapshot.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, could I ask what didn't make it into the book?
So the real tricky thing about this, so this is a huge book, just so you guys know. It's over 700 pages.
Wow.
And that's because we opted to cover everything from the original Masters of the Universe toy line all the way through Masters of the Universe Classics, which is the most recent collector's line. So that's the cutoff for the book. So anything that's come out after that is not going to be in here. So Origins didn't make the cut because Origins hadn't even come out yet when I had to turn in the stuff for this book. So there's always potential for me to do a follow-up or something to include the newer stuff. So because of that, we're covering original He-Man, original She-Ra, New Adventures of He-Man, the 2002 incarnation of the toy line, the relaunch from that era, and then Masters of the Universe Classics. So that's a lot of toy lines and a lot of figures to cover. So the big question when we were first putting this together is, how deep do we really need to get with this? Like, do we need to make sure we cover like all of the international releases and the variants, or do we need to just make something that's a little more concise? And, after a lot of back and forth and a lot of thinking of it, we basically opted not to get as deep and detailed with like all of those different international type releases. So, you always have, especially with those vintage toy lines where figures get produced in different factories in different countries, and sometimes that results in
the Leo figures.
Oh yeah, and then you got stuff like that. So you got like the Leo stuff that was the figures released in India. You've got the Argentinian releases, the Top Toys stuff. So we didn't go into all of that sort of stuff. What we opted to do was there's some articles throughout the book that kind of talks about some of that extra stuff and gives you some photos and some examples of some of it, just so you're aware it's out there. Cool. But that's the type of stuff we decided not to go super deep on because we already had a 700-page book just covering the U.S. releases. So this book is just the U.S. released items.
So if the book does well, or let me rephrase it, is that something you'd want to cover in a book, just like just international stuff?
I think that would be amazing. I know that there are other fans out there that are hoping to do stuff like that might even be better at it than me, because I'll tell you, I learned a lot about that sort of stuff just in the process of working on this book. A lot of that is stuff that I knew existed and I had a fair amount of knowledge of, but once I got out there and started working with other collectors to help put this together, I was blown away by how huge the variant scene is and the international scene is, and it was amazing, and I learned so much. So the short answer is yes, I would love to do something like that one day. I can't imagine how complicated that would be, trying to track all of that information down and piece it together and make sure I didn't miss anything. That would be a challenge, but it could be a fun challenge.
So The book is just figures. Is that correct? No play sets or?
Oh no, play sets and vehicles are in there.
Okay,
It's,
cool.
It's
So
all the figures, all the play sets, all the vehicles. So
did you consider doing things like the other merchandise of He-Man that was out when you were, and if since it didn't make it into the book, is that another book you would want to do?
No, it's a great question. And it's another discussion that we had. There's so much other merchandise out there for Masters of the Universe that was produced by other companies. Right. And it was another one of those things where, especially if you go back and look at the vintage line, there's so much of it out there that I swear we're still stumbling upon new random things all the time to this day that we had no idea were made. You know, you got weird things like the soap dishes and the toothbrush holders and the bags and the pencil sharpeners and all kinds of crazy stuff. Right. What we ended up deciding on for this book was that we were going to do all of the official Mattel produced items for the book. So there are some instances where Mattel made, for example, role play weapons. Like in the 2002 toy line, they made a power sword. So that's in the book. So anything that was like officially produced by Mattel or their partners like Super 7 was the official license holder for the toy lines. So it's basically just the Mattel and the Super 7 stuff within this book. The one exception is we did include the NECA Staction figures at the end of the 2000X section. Nice. Because NECA produced that line of statues that were in scale with the figures as a means to complete the 2000X toy line. So we have a section in there that lays out all of the NECA release Stactions as well.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So where'd you grow up, Dan?
Springfield, Illinois, where I'm still hanging around today.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Now, obviously you had toys as a child. What was your favorite first action figure?
I would probably credit that to He-Man. He-Man and Skeletor were definitely my earliest action figures, and I'm on the young side of Masters of the Universe fans. I was born in '82, which is the same year that the line launched in the US. So I literally, like, we basically have the same birthday, and I just grew up with He-Man in my life because when I was around, 3 and 4 years old, well, that's when that line was at its prime. And the Filmation cartoon was on TV. So it was my favorite cartoon to watch. My mom was constantly bringing the action figures home to me. So all of my earliest toy memories are with He-Man.
That's awesome. Yeah. All my Christmases always had something to do with He-Man as well. And it's funny you mentioned your mom, because one of my favorite videos of yours is when you interviewed her about the Cabbage Patch Rage.
Yeah, I that is one of my personal favorite videos that I've ever done too. And I actually just followed that up recently where I interviewed her about the day she gave me Stinkor as a kid, because it's such a funny story that always stood out in my mind. And I wanted to get her perspective on the whole thing. And I've had a really great response to both of those videos, and that makes me really happy. But part of doing those videos was a little selfish too for me, because I now have these amazing stories from my mom that I get to keep, right? I filmed them, and I've got these amazing stories that, I'll always even be able to look back on and see my mom telling these stories of things from when I was a kid. And I loved it. I love doing that. And I'm really happy that so many people enjoyed watching those.
Yeah, those are phenomenal. So let's get into video. So you're growing up one day, you just, the internet's big, YouTube started, you just happened to just get a video camera and was like, hey, plastics to pixels, or
it was a little bit more to it than that. Okay. So I don't know. I did kind of stumble on it. It's not like a goal that I had, it's not one of those things where I grew up thinking I was going to be a filmmaker or anything like that. Now, when I was a kid, I did used to love grabbing my mom's 35 millimeter camera and posing my action figures and different things, and then snapping photos off with her camera. Oh, wow. And then, of course, you'd have to get them developed. So they come back and they're like these blurry photos of my toys and everything. But I used to love doing that as a kid. So I always had like that part of it, I think. And what ended up kind of motivating me to try the YouTube thing was probably around 2006 or so. I had really gotten into watching a lot of the retro video game content that was starting to boom on the internet, on YouTube and stuff. I was a big fan of screwattack.com back then, which is where I discovered the Angry Video Game Nerd that I'm sure a lot of people have heard of. And I was really watching a lot of the content that was being produced centered around retro video games. And this was a very new thing at the time. YouTube was still very young. You know, most people weren't actually going to YouTube to watch videos yet. Like, the videos had to be embedded on a popular website in order for people to see them back then. So that's how I kind of, you know, I found screwattack.com, and they were putting up all this cool retro video game content. And so I was really getting into that, and I was enjoying it. And I kind of started just, you know, messing around myself with trying to make my own content. I got on and I taught myself how to edit videos with like Windows Movie Maker at first.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and just started doing stuff like that. And they used to do things on that website where they would ask for viewer submissions, like showing off their game rooms and stuff. So I did some things like that and got featured on the front page of their website. And that was like this huge rush, you know? It was like, oh my gosh, like people are watching this thing that I made. This is amazing. So I think the more I started kind of, you know, watching this and getting inspired by what other people were doing, and then I kind of had that experience, it was one of those things where I was like, you know, I feel like I could do this. But if I'm going to do this, I feel like, you know, I love video games, but like also I'm a big toy fan and I love all this stuff. I feel like if I'm going to do this, I need to do it about something that I'm passionate about. So what I ended up doing was I found a way to appeal to the video game market while talking about toys. And that's where I came up with the concept From Pixels to Plastic, where I would talk about toys and action figures based on retro video games that I loved. So that was a really cool experience because I basically built this show. I created a series, and just in every episode I would talk about, like, I started with talking about like Legend of Zelda action figures and Mega Man action figures. Well, I was getting front paged on Screw Attack and stuff with those videos. Cool. So I was starting to build a little bit of a following, and that was really fun. That was just a really cool experience. So that was sort of the birth of the Pixel Dan platform. Like, my platform is Pixel Dan, because that's how the name came about too. I was doing From Pixels to Plastic, and the first couple episodes I was just using like my online screen handle, which was Mandalorian 30. Okay. I was way ahead of the whole Mandalorian love back then. So I would, like, the first couple episodes, I was even like introducing myself as Mandalorian 30. And I think it was, you know, a couple people kind of mentioned that I needed something a little catchier or a little more, I don't know, just easy to remember or easy to say. And then my friend Lance actually started just referring to me as Pixel Dan because of my series From Pixels to Plastic. And cool. I liked that. And I was like, I think I'm going to use that if you're okay with that, because I think that fits really well. And it feels like a brand name, right? It feels a little marketable. Yeah. It feels like something people will remember. And I think I'm going to run with that. And from that moment on, I just started introducing myself as Pixel Dan, the host of From Pixels to Plastic.
That's
and
awesome.
It just kind of went from there. Yeah.
Do relatives or friends like to call you that, or are they just regular?
No, yeah. I mean, it usually is a joke kind of a thing. Or like if they want to ask me a question about something toy related, they'll go, "Hey, Pixel Dan, what can you tell me about this?" You know?
Oh yeah, you're on the spotlight now.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, along with your love of toys, I'm going to bring this up. Could you please explain this? Now, was this Spencer Powers at work here, or?
Well, all right, so let me start by saying that, yes, I actually have been an independent pro wrestler since 2000. So right out of high school, I went and started getting trained to be a wrestler because I wanted to be a wrestler. I wanted to do wrestling on the independent scene. And long before I was doing the video stuff online, like, that's basically what I was doing with my weekends. And
cool.
So, you know, I got trained and I worked locally around here in the central Illinois area. And then I got to a point where basically every weekend I was traveling to different cities to work for different shows. You know, Indiana, I would travel down towards the St. Louis area. I would travel up into Chicago and Indiana and just kind of all the little towns in between. I was working a lot of shows. So It's a big part of my life. You know, I love pro wrestling, and I love the experience of being on the independents. I'm not as active these days. It was one of those things where when I originally got into it, it was something that I had considered trying to do full time. You know, I really liked it. And I kind of had those moments where like I started really getting serious about it and really working hard. And my goal was kind of going to be to go somewhere where I could get further training and get picked up, you know, or get seen or something like that. But, you know, it was one of those things where like the things happen in life. You know, I ended up, obviously I met the girl that would become my wife. And then it became more about like, well, I think I want to stay around here and I want to settle down. And I'm gonna do the family thing. So, but I always still loved wrestling and I still worked independently around here. So, what you just showed, that was 2 years ago. I got to be an extra on WWE TV. And that's a very common thing for when the WWE is coming to town for Raw or SmackDown or their pay-per-views. They hire a bunch of local independent workers to come in and be extras on the show for whatever they might need, security spot or something. You know, they always use local wrestlers for those spots. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so it was just one of those cool opportunities where I got a call because they were in the Chicago area, and I got the opportunity to go work Raw and SmackDown. And I think for Raw, I did I was just like a background character for the No Way Jose Conga line entrance. And then on SmackDown, I got to do the security role where Becky Lynch beat me up, and that was amazing. That was an amazing experience. So yeah, it was awesome.
Now, I just want to lift the veil real quick off that scene. Did you know she was going to do that to you, or was it ad-libbed?
I did know that she was going to do that to me.
Wow.
Yeah. She actually asked me backstage if I was willing to take it, and I was like, I'll be here for whatever you need, Becky Lynch. Whatever you need.
So that's great. So, all right. So this is kind of funny. I just got some email and feedback about our shows. Everybody has been loving the show so far, so thank you all. But apparently I don't talk enough about He-Man on a He-Man podcast. So let's jump into that real quick.
Sure.
So this was just released recently, the Massiverse figures. Apparently they're based on the Kevin Smith Revelations TV show on Netflix. So what was your first impression? I know you made a video about it, but you know, if you can just share with us.
Sure. No, I'm very much kind of sitting in the middle on these still right now. So I guess it's important to note that this image kind of came from like an investor call that Mattel just had, right? So there was no like big announcement or big like reveal. Like that slide was dropped in an investor call, and that was our first impression of what these toys were going to look like. So those aren't necessarily the best photos. It's low res. It's hard to see a lot of details on it. So I'm kind of doing that thing where I hope that Mattel follows this up now, especially with all the comments and the criticisms that are coming out there based off this picture. I hope Mattel now comes out with an actual press release with a bunch of really nice photos and gives us some more information about what we're looking at here, because I think they need to do that. I think that's important to kind of now, you know, calm things down a little bit, maybe. I don't know. So, you know, it's one of those things where I try not to make snap judgments on this stuff, but as I always say, first impressions do matter sometimes. And those, I don't know, like they look fine. I'm totally cool with them being based on the animation. That's exactly what I expected, you know? But it's hard to see a lot of what's going on. I'm not completely in love with like He-Man's face in these low res images. He looks very sad or something. I don't know what's going on there. Evil Lynn's look is completely new, and that's fine, but it might be one of those things where we need to see it in action in the cartoon series to get an appreciation for it before we want the action figure. You know what I mean? At this point, you look at it and you're just like, why does that look so different from what I'm used to? You know what I mean? It's
definitely. But it's funny you mention her, because I think she's the best looking one out of all three.
Yeah,
I do. I really like the unique like cloak that she has going on, and then her hair's longer, which is something we haven't seen before.
Right. We've never seen her with the long hair. And, you know,
Yeah.
I will say this, like, she still looks like Evil Lynn, right? That's important when you do redesigns like this. Like her color palette is still appropriate. She still has the swappable head with the signature helmet that she wears. Like, so she still looks like the character. It's just a bit of a departure from her typical attire, essentially.
Exactly.
But one of the things I will say is I was impressed that He-Man and Skeletor just look super normal. Like, their costumes haven't been redesigned at all. They're wearing the classic He-Man and Skeletor costumes. You know, they didn't try to put pants on He-Man again, like they always try to do. So
yeah,
I like that. I think that looks good.
Yeah, I'm finally got a Skeletor figure that hasn't been customized where he comes with a cloak or a cape.
Yeah. He
So
comes with a cape.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. And now let's look at something for the kids now. In your video, you mentioned something about you're not a big fan of the sword. I totally agree.
The sword's where they always kind of get me. And it's, I totally, it's one of those things where, like, I can fully admit that, like, there's a nostalgia thing with that sword and just don't change it. Like, it's so iconic to the character. Exactly. I don't feel like there's a reason to constantly redesign the sword, because I felt the same way in 2002. And while at the end of the day, I grew an appreciation for what they now call, like, the mechanical power sword. Like, at first, that was my least favorite thing about the 2002 series. I was like, why do we have this big, ugly metal, like, mechanical sword now? I don't get it. Right. So, when they switched back to the original style power sword for, like, classics and all that stuff, that was like a thing that we were all so excited about. Like, fans were just like, oh, thank goodness the real power sword's back.
Exactly.
So we're doing it again. And it's one of those things where, like, I guess I get it. Cause the other thing I always say is we do need new blood. We need new fans. This needs to attract a new audience. And if we have to do something that is going to capture the attention of what the current generation of kids is into, that makes perfect sense to me, and I'm fine with that, especially when we're living in a current situation where there are so many other variations of He-Man out there. You know, there's the Kevin Smith series is supposed to be more for the old fans, but then we've also got the Origins line out there, which is like straight up a recreation of the vintage toy line. So there's all these other options out there. If I don't like this new one that's made for new fans and new kids, it's not the end of the world to me. I'm totally fine with that. Right. I looked at Battle Cat specifically in that, and, like, to me, he looks like a Zoid or something, you know, like he's, I don't know. The armor doesn't really do it for me. It looks really busy, but I showed that to my 7-year-old son, and that's the thing he liked the most. He was like, Battle Cat looks really cool. I like his armor. And I was like, well, okay. So you're totally opposite from me, but maybe they're onto something here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
His tail is a little weird.
Yeah. It's got like a spike or something on his tail.
Yeah, it's it looks very thin. It's just
he looks thin. Sorry. Yeah.
No,
I mean, I just say the cat himself looks thin.
Yeah, he's
if you look at that, like,
top. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
He kind of reminds me of 2000X Battle Cat, like with the claws and paws and stuff. But
I will say this whole image has a bit of a 2000X vibe to me, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
Even He-Man kind of gives me that vibe.
He's giant. Like, his upper from his, like, neck to his waist is just gigantic.
I know.
And everything else is tight. Yeah.
Tiny little legs and tiny little head.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm dubbing him Fortnite He-Man.
That's what I keep seeing. A lot of people say he looks like a Fortnite skin.
But we also have this, which was an international picture, apparently from a retailer.
I haven't even seen this yet.
Really?
So that's awesome. I've been So I think when they first announced the Masterverse line at PowerCon, they sort of made it sound like it was going to be an all-inclusive line. Like, it's not just limited to being from the Kevin Smith cartoon series.
Right.
So to me, it sounded like the first wave was probably going to be all based on the new animated series. But from after that, they could be pulling from different inspiration points, because I know there's been some hope that they'll use that line to, like, complete some of the characters for classics that we didn't get and stuff
Right.
like that. So I think that's
That's what I
always a
was hoping.
possibility. Yeah.
Can you
So
bring that
this
picture
is
up again?
obviously based on the comic books, right? Eternia War,
Yes.
Eternity War. Yeah.
Yeah, by
know what-
Rob David.
He looks like Tim Curry from Legend to me.
Oh, he totally does.
Right?
Totally does.
Just paint them red.
So I'll be perfectly honest, I did not read that and I need to. So I'm not completely familiar with what's going on there, but that's a weird looking, I assume that's Skeletor. That is
Yes.
weird. It's
Well,
wild.
it's basically Game of Thrones just with He-Man.
Right. Oh, okay.
And
Gotcha.
less nudity. No nudity.
Okay, good.
Sorry.
Good.
Yeah. Although they did do something in that book that I wasn't 100% on board with was, I don't mean to spoil anything for you, but
Oh, no, that's fine. Go ahead.
Tila becomes the Green Goddess.
Okay. So it's like they kind of mix together some different aspects, right? Because
There
the
is some
goddess was-
cool stuff in it, but
Yeah.
that was the only thing I wasn't really on board with.
Oh, you weren't on board with that?
No, because I mean, I love the classics version. I think King He-Man should marry Tila, and
And the Tila just becomes like the sorceress or whatever. Because
Exactly.
she's
And they
she's
have
destined to
Dare.
be the sorceress.
right.
I would imagine, my guess is that's what the Revelation series is going to be all about.
That's what I was thinking too.
I would imagine that's the revelation, right? That Tila's destined to be the sorceress, and that's what it's all going to be about.
right.
Because if this continues from Filmation and they set all that up in the original series, so I don't know. I'm just jumping all around now. Sorry, guys.
No, you're good. Please. But one of the things I also wanted to bring up, they kind of hinted that, and even you brought this up, that these Masterverse figures were going to be part of the Classics collection. So I was a little bit let down. Again, like you said, this is a poor picture and stuff. I mean, who knows? Hopefully we'll get maybe a variant somewhere down the line. But I was really hoping they would be more classics.
More in the style of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see the actual scale, because I think they say it is 7 inches, right? It's a 7-inch scale line.
Yes.
I'm interested to see if they're still like the same size, because classics is 7-inch, but they're on the big side of 7 inches. They're very big and bulky and everything, as a He-Man toy should be. So sometimes when they stand next to other 7-inch figures like NECA figures, the NECA figures look tiny next to them.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I'll be curious to see what these look like next to classics, if they're like truly in the same scale or if they're a little smaller.
Gotcha. So here's a question I'm sure you get all the time. So Mattel comes to you and says, Dan, we don't know what to do anymore. We're giving you He-Man. Run with it. What would be your definitive Pixel Dan He-Man?
Oh boy, that is not an easy question to answer. Also, you can't please everybody, right? So there's this is tough, because so right now it really seems like they are going all in on He-Man in a way we haven't seen them do in a very long time, because they've got, it looks like we're going to ultimately have 3 very different types of toy lines on retail shelves at the same time. We have 2 very different types of animated series that are aimed at different audiences at the same time. So it really feels like they're putting more behind the brand now than they have in a very, very long time. My worry with that is that they're doing too much all at once, or like we're spreading the brand a little too thin into different directions. And can all these different markets that each of the different series are aimed for, can they all sustain that one thing? Yeah, exactly. So I'll tell you, my biggest fear right now is that if all of this isn't successful by Mattel standards, that they throw in the towel. They're like, well, clearly people don't care about He-Man, and then that's it. It's just over. You know what I mean? That's what that's the fear that's in the back of my mind. Sure. I think it's important to build a new audience, like it looks like they're trying to do with the new cartoon series. But at the same time, I think it's very important to remember the people who have kept this brand alive for all these years. Exactly. And that is a very hard thing to do. It's a very hard balance. but I like to reference one of my favorite reboots in recent years, which is the 2012 TMNT reboot, the Ninja Turtles reboot. I feel like the 2012 series for Ninja Turtles is one of the all-time best renditions of those characters. And I think it did an amazing job balancing both the concept of respecting everything that came before it, while at the same time doing its own thing and finding a new audience. Because that show was massively successful with kids.
Oh yeah, it was a
And
great
at the
show
same
all
time,
around.
A great show, and the toy line was like the top boys toy line for several years in a row. I mean, like, it was the straight up second coming of Ninja Turtles. Like, they hadn't had success like that since the original release. So like it was great because they just found the right person to helm the series and did, they did the right thing with it for that. And that's the kind of thing I would love to see them be able to recreate with Masters of the Universe. Like, if we can get a new series that somehow is able to respect all that great stuff, all the history that came before it, while still appealing to a new market and making just like a really fun toy line and all that stuff to really keep it going, that would be my ultimate goal. That would be the priority, I think. Now, at the same time, like, once you've got something that's that successful, like with the Ninja Turtles series, another good example, regardless of how you feel about it, the Transformers movies, like they brought in a new generation and they made a bunch of money, whatever. We don't have to like it, but the ultimate positive that comes out of something that's that successful with the current audience is that they get more money to spend on making more collector based stuff. And they can start doing some of that extra stuff for us, the old fans, and we can start getting some of those kind of things. So I almost feel like it's important to find a way to, launch a new series, a new whole brand of Masters of the Universe that can somehow have that perfect balance, with the priority being getting new fans on, making sure that this is successful, and then there's lots of love to go around for everybody.
Definitely.
It's hard to do, though. I understand that, like, I don't have the answers for doing that. I know that that's a challenge, but that's what I would love to see happen.
Let me throw this out at you too. So,
sure.
Let's just imagine. Would you? And obviously, there's no news of this whatsoever. Would you be cool with like He-Man in a theme park? So Universal Studios, like a He-Man Island or something like that.
Of course. Oh my God, that would be amazing. Are you kidding me?
So you get some like Marvel Island if they created a ride for him.
Yeah, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. Yeah. Well, my wife and I are big Disney parks fans too. So,
nice.
I couldn't imagine like walking into a theme park and having like a section or even just a ride, like just surrounding my favorite thing ever. That'd be amazing. You know what I mean?
Who do you think actually would be better, like Disney or Universal? Like, let's say somebody actually bought the license.
All right. So, well, if we're speaking on current terms, it would have to be Universal, because Universal actually owns stake in Masters of the Universe. So, it would definitely be at Universal Studios if they had it. That they had a walk-around character for She-Ra at Universal Studios.
Yes.
When her Netflix series was on. So maybe with these new series for He-Man being on Netflix, we will get some integration into the parks. That could be really cool.
And they used to have it in California back in the 80s, in Universal. They had I never saw it myself. I saw pictures on the internet of like people who met He-Man, and I think they gave them toys or something like that.
Yeah, I've seen those too. Too. That's
pretty
amazing.
Cool.
Oh my God, that would be so cool.
So Dan, we have 2 shows coming out. The live action movie is still up in the air. How do you feel about that? Like, do you have a certain
terrified?
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Terrifying.
You know what, though?
Man.
I'll be honest, if I can just interject real quick, I don't really need a live action show. If we have like a 2-hour animated movie, from anybody, I'd be fine with that. I keep that coming instead of,
I've
live
always
action.
I've always been kind of the same mind. I feel like this world lends itself better to animation, and I think a really well done animated movie could be amazing for He-Man.
Oh, sure.
I think that'd be
what
awesome.
if it was like instead of a movie, a series like Stranger Things or like a 9 episode binge kind of thing.
That would be
way
great.
you don't have to like cram everything in 2 hours, but you can still tell a longer story and kind of spread it out and build up to your
that would be awesome, especially if we can get some really good storytelling, and I know that storytelling's gotten really good in series, especially a lot of these streaming series. I mean, WandaVision right now is unbelievably good. And if we could get something that got that much love in it for Masters and the lore behind Masters of the Universe, the way that Marvel treats their properties, that would be amazing. That would be amazing.
So you bring up WandaVision. Where is Marvel Goodyear's review of it? I'm missing it.
I know. We haven't gotten together to talk about it. It might be one of those things where we'll do a recap of the whole thing when it's over, I think. We definitely talk to each other every week about what's going on. So I think that's something that we'll definitely be sitting down and recording. It's been hard to get together to record our podcast recently, obviously, with things going on in the world. And we always like to do it in person because we're all local here. And but life is so busy. I mean, gosh, we're all, me and Jonathan both are raising a gaggle of kids, and it gets complicated. I'm sure you guys understand. Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. So how do you feel about this monstrosity right now? No, I know.
I think that's awesome. You think it's a monstrosity?
Well, you know what? My wife got me the big head He-Man, and I built it, and I'm just staring at him like, why?
Those were weird. Those were weird. The He-Man and the Skeletor. Yeah. Those were kind of strange. That seemed like because that was like Mega trying to do like a pop type thing.
Exactly.
I think. Yeah. And those, I don't know. I just don't think those worked out too well.
Yeah.
I think this Battle Cat looks fun though.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot, but I don't know. I don't know if it's my cup of tea. Now this they just announced. I'm really excited for.
I am so excited for that. You have no idea.
Oh, I bet. Now, this is right up your alley. You do that advent calendar with your wife.
Yeah, me and Christina have been doing an advent calendar series every year for, almost a decade now, which is crazy. Wow. But it's just one of those things that's become such a fun tradition every year. Where we just do this daily advent calendar show, and we have, a good little audience that joins us every year. And it's become such a part of our Christmas tradition. We really look forward to it every year. So when they announced that I'm going to get to do a He-Man advent calendar, I mean, come on, that's like so perfect.
Did you do the Gremlins one? The Gremlins
I did do the Gremlins one. Yep. Cool. I did that one this year. It was so good too. It was so good.
Yeah, this looks so great. I mean, it comes with micro figures for your smaller figures. I mean, you can't beat that.
God, that's amazing. Look at that.
Yeah.
I had only seen the main picture. I hadn't actually looked at all these other ones yet.
Oh, yeah.
This is actually kind of based off of the new show because of He-Man's armor. It looks like an H instead of the cross.
Yeah. So Mattel's been trying to push that as He-Man's main logo for a long time, actually. And if you notice, that logo dates all the way back to the original Battle Armor He-Man. That's what's on the Battle Armor He-Man's armor. Right. And it's kind of one of those things where I think that's more marketable, and they can also trademark that. Like that's the He-Man logo kind of a thing.
It's not a terrible logo. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. But here's the thing that I'm a little bit confused about, though. It's not the logo that's on Origins. On Origins, they went back to the Iron Cross.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a good point. It's a good point. I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe it's a direction they're doing now with the new animated series and everything coming out. Maybe they decided to make the full shift.
Yeah. So let's talk about some other different toys. Have you been reading Last Ronin?
I haven't yet. Everybody keeps telling me about it, and I am really bad. I'm bad about keeping up with comic books. I'll tell you that. Like, it's just like there's always comic books I want to read, and then I just don't, and I don't have a good excuse for it. Like, I really should. I really should be.
So, what other toy lines are you excited about right now? We have the Thunder Tank coming, which you did a whole video about it.
Yeah. I I'm a big Ninja Turtles fan too. That's my number 2 franchise. So
Yes.
a lot of my collecting has mostly just been focused on He-Man and Turtles lately because there's so much for both of them that it's already hard to keep up with those two things. Because between NECA and Super 7, we're getting like some of the best Turtles figures we've ever had. It's amazing. And I love that they're doing different styles too, you know? So NECA's given us like the ones based on the original cartoon and the original movie, which are phenomenal. And then Super 7's just doing kind of the Masters of the Universe Classics things with Turtles, where they're taking the old figures and just bringing them into modern times. And I love that because with Turtles, like that original toy line had its own distinct look. You know, it was like very different from what we saw in the cartoon and stuff like that. So I think it's certain characters specifically, it makes total sense to go that route for some updated figures. And I really like both of them equally. I know a lot of people are always like, which do you prefer? But it's not like a versus thing to me. Like they're like, they're doing their own things. And I totally love and appreciate both of them for what they're doing. So I've been having fun picking those up. The NECA ones are not always the easiest to find, as everybody knows, but when I can get them, they are good. I like that they did pre-orders for a lot of their stuff last year. So those pre-orders have all been finally rolling in. So I've been just now getting, like, I just got my Toka and Razar. I just got my Super Shredder. The Casey Jones and Foot Soldier I just finally got. So there's a lot of that stuff I'm just now getting because I just decided to do the pre-orders rather than trying to hunt them down. But yeah, I think that stuff's a lot of fun. But what Super 7's doing in general with like their Ultimates line, I think is really cool. Obviously that scale and everything totally appeals to me. You know, I love the 7-inch size, and I kind of like that they're all basically built on the framework that Masters of the Universe Classics set up. So now we're getting like all these other cool franchises like on that framework, like Turtles and Voltron, and like they just announced that they've got Power Rangers and Thundercats, of course. That stuff it's expensive, but I honestly think that that's kind of like my favorite lines right now to collect, my favorite style of modern toys. I like those.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Defenders of the Earth.
Oh yeah.
Those stuff really goes back, and they look amazing. But
they look so good.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Super 7 Silver.
That was such a surprise last year at Toy Fair when they revealed those.
They definitely.
Yes, I am so excited. Sorry, we got a little bit of a lag, I think. The Silverhawks I'm very excited. Silverhawks I'm very excited for from Super 7.
Yeah, definitely. So here's some goofy questions I got for you.
Okay.
Mint on card collector, or do you open everything?
I open everything.
Wow.
The only exception to that is like with vintage items, because I still heavily collect vintage Masters and Turtles. So sometimes if I get like something that's nice and minty and in the box, that'll stay in the box. But everything modern, I open everything modern. I don't leave any modern toys in the package.
Gotcha. Now, what would I just lost it. Sorry. You know what? Let's skip it. Tell me about Toy Explosion. That's your history on toys.
Sure. Yeah. No. So Toy Explosion is my video series where I wanted to. So I do a lot of videos that are just like a review of a standalone figure or a look at a standalone figure. But you know, in my early days on YouTube videos, like with From Pixels to Plastic, it was more of like an episodic series that like talked about a toy line or whatever. And I just kind of wanted to get back to doing something like that. You know, I also did a show early on with some friends called That New Toy Smell that a lot of people remember.
That's right.
And it was more like that. We did like every episode was about like a toy line, and we would talk about the toy line itself. And you know, that was kind of one of my early visions for my channel, was doing that sort of stuff. Like right after From Pixels to Plastic, I created That New Toy Smell as sort of the version of From Pixels to Plastic that could be on other types of toys outside of video games. And so I did that for several years with some friends. So Toy Explosion was kind of my way of getting back to something like that. I really felt like I wanted to challenge myself a little bit more, where I wanted to do a bunch of research and put together like a proper like history piece about a specific toy line, or if I wanted to tell a certain story or something like that. And that way I could present it as like more of an episodic video series where every episode tells a story about a toy line or about a specific toy or a fun piece of toy history. So I wanted to do that just to kind of give myself a little something new and different to do. And like I said, challenge myself outside of just reviewing an action figure here and there. So that's how that came about. It takes a lot more work, obviously. Especially when I'll spend a couple months researching a project, because I'll even try to reach out and get quotes from people involved and stuff like that. So they don't always come together as fast as I'd like. And then when other things come about, or like I really get caught up in like, oh, like 2 whole waves of Origins figures just dropped. Now I need to focus on talking about all these new Origins figures. So I don't produce them episodes of Toy Explosion as often as I would like to, but I have a lot of fun doing it.
Very nice. Now, you mentioned, like a whole new case of Origins would drop on your lap. Do you ever get burned out, or does it seem like certain days you're just like, oh, okay, let's go back to the grind?
Yes, absolutely.
Really?
The whole YouTube thing, it's so easy to get burned out. It is easy to get burned out. And I think one of the things that makes it easy to get burnt out is like that feeling of needing to be first, needing to be fast, get it out there, because you worry about everybody's short attention spans, and they're going to go to the first person that posts the review, and then you're going to miss out on a bunch of views. You know what I mean? And I hate that. I hate like feeling like I need to be rushed, or that I'm in competition with anybody. And so I try so hard to like not have that mindset. Like I'm not trying to compete. I don't want to be in competition. I don't want to be rushed. Like I want to enjoy what I'm doing, because I feel like that shows in my videos. And if I am not into it, or I'm rushing myself, or just trying to get it done to get it done, I think that shows in the end result of the video. And I think people can tell that I'm like I'm kind of just phoning it in. I think people can tell when you're phoning it in. So it's a mental thing, because I have these weird mental battles with myself all the time, where like I have to tell myself, like, don't worry about that. Don't feel bad that somebody else made an amazing video about the same thing you want to talk about. Just do your own thing. Focus on you and people. I really do truly believe that, like, if you are passionate about the thing you're talking about, that shows through in the video. Right. People will catch on to that, and they will get enjoyment from your video because they can feel your passion bleeding through. I think that is very important in the whole YouTube space. And that's why when people are always like, that's a common question I get all the time. Like, how do you get noticed on YouTube? And it is very hard these days. I will say that, like, there are so many people out there now making YouTube videos. Like when I first started, I was like the only guy on YouTube talking about toys back in 07, but it's gradually turned into this thing where it's, everybody's at least got a cell phone that they could shoot something and immediately put it on YouTube. So it's a challenge. So the best advice I can always give people is, like, just enjoy what you're doing. Put real passion into your projects, because if you are really excited and really love the thing that you're talking about, that's what's going to hook people. People are going to notice that, and people will come. They will come. So
when you're doing a video or a podcast, and you're basically talking to either like a microphone or into the camera, how do you bring it out so that it doesn't just sound like you're kind of talking to yourself? Because that's the one thing I find is like,
that's tricky. And I'll tell you what, that's another one.
Tom,
that's another one of those mental hurdles. you have to get over, I think.
Right.
Because I'm the same way, and I totally understand that. You know, I still have issues when I'm out at conventions and I'm trying to do like the like the vlog type thing at a convention. I'll be holding a camera and I'll be talking to the camera, but I'll be so self-conscious about everybody around me. Like, what's this idiot doing talking into a camera? Even though everybody does it now, right?
Oh yeah.
But I still have that weird self-conscious thing that I have to ignore because I know that I'm talking to an audience that's going to see this. So who cares what the 5 people around me think of me in the moment? Yeah, it's a hurdle that I think you have to get over. It's like a mental thing. Like you have to realize that the camera that we're talking to or the microphone is an extension to a whole world out there of viewers that are going to be taking in everything that you're saying.
Right.
So I try to always present my content like I'm having a conversation with somebody.
Right.
Like I almost do the friend thing, you know what I mean? And honestly, I think that's another reason why I think that's one of the things that people like about my content is that it feels like they're hanging out with them. They're hanging out with somebody who likes the same stuff as them, and they're having, you know, like and that's kind of what I aim for. I will script out some of my stuff for like Toy Explosion, but even sometimes when I'm like reading those scripts and using a teleprompter, I feel like it's a little too robotic. So sometimes I even find it's better to give myself notes of specific things I want to make sure that I talk about, and then I just kind of talk, you know what I mean? I'll just get in front of the camera and I'll talk, and I'll try to make sure I'm hitting those points, and it might take me a few takes to get through it, but I always like the ones better where it feels more like I'm just chatting like we're chatting right now, rather than me robotically regurgitating what's on a piece of paper.
All right, Dan, we've kept you long enough. Just one real quick question. So I have heard that you are thinking of writing another book. Do you have any type of hint? Anything? Have you started it?
I have started the preliminary portion of it, as in I'm piecing together a roadmap. It's for my second favorite toy line, which I talked about on the podcast. So if you were paying attention,
gotcha.
You know what I'm doing.
Very nice. Well, sir, we're going to start the news. You're more than welcome to join us if you're not too busy. If you need to leave, you know, feel free. Thank you so much for being on the show. The book is The Toys of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe by Daniel Erdley. I highly suggest it. I can't wait for this book. If you're a He-Man collector or even just a random toy enthusiast, you need this book. It's based on the greatest toy line ever, written by one of the greatest fans ever. Pixel Dan, thank you so much.
Hey, no problem. And if I may, just real quick, I do want to make sure I like give a proper shout out because so many people helped me with this book. This was not a solo effort by any means. So many fans within the community came together. This is very much a community made project. I visited so many people to photograph things for this book. I had some folks come in and help me with some of the writing where I felt like writing could be stronger if done by other people. So this was a massive thing where we came together as a community to make this book happen. So lots of people out there, there's a big credit section in the book so that everybody gets their due, but I could not have done this alone. And I just want to make sure that that's well known. I very much appreciate all the help of the fan community.
Very nice. Very nice. So, like I said, you're welcome to join us with the news. If you got to leave, you can.
Sounds good. Well, hey, I think I'm going to go ahead and head out. And just because my kids are down the stairs, I just want to make sure my wife is good to go. But I really appreciate you guys having me on and chatting with me and helping plug the book. It's
thank you, sir.
An honor to be here, guys.
Yep, same here. All right, take care. Well, that was awesome.
Very nice guy.
Yeah. So let's get into some news.
All right.
So we're going to regurgitate a couple of things, folks. So Mattel had their investors meeting this past week, and they released some Masterverse figures. You have He-Man, Battle Cat, Skeletor with a shaping staff, by the way, and Evelyn, who I think came out the best looking of all three. Now we just gotta critique a couple of things. Like, I'm not too crazy about this power sword. Pixel Dan mentioned that this is a sad looking He-Man, but
This sword's better than that other gigantic one.
yeah, the 2000X sword, yeah.
Yeah.
But like he said, this is just a preliminary picture. Hopefully they'll look better with in focus.
Sure.
And the CGI He-Man, or as I like to dub him, Fortnite He-Man, he actually looks interesting to me. I'm very curious to see where they go with this new Netflix series.
This is the kid show.
This is the children's show, yes. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that. And then Mega Constructs has also announced a Battle Cat Construct.
It kind of looks like something you'd make with like elbow macaroni.
Right?
Some parts do. That's what I was kind of thinking. Like you got like two Bellini over here and a little elbow over there, but
yeah, it is. It is interesting. I am
he's kind
curious
of cool.
to see about it, though.
I kind of like him.
And as we mentioned before, the Masters of the Universe Advent Calendar. As soon as I saw this, I went straight to Mary. I was like, "This is my Christmas gift. This is what I want."
Well, you got to get it before Christmas so you can.
Oh yeah, obviously, yeah. But I'm loving these micro figures. I mean, I'm gonna make so many ridiculous Instagram pictures out of all of them. Super authentic details, and look, a Christmas He-Man. Who doesn't need a second one? And then removable accessories. So I guess this is perfect for customizers.
Yeah.
So PowerCon is coming hopefully this September 11th and 12th to Anaheim, California. And the Mythic Legions Four Horsemen series always does homage figure, if you will, to any existing He-Man proper or character. So right now they're kind of hinting at a Thistlethorn figure. So I'm thinking it might be a Stinkor looking figure.
Okay.
Now, I don't know any inside information. That's just, me talking.
Just guess.
Yeah, pretty much. But, yeah, hopefully we'll be going back to normal and I can attend my favorite convention ever. So NECA recently tweeted out a Lothar figure from Defenders of the Earth. The first figures were the Flash, or Flash Gordon.
Right. What is Lothar from?
Being the Merciless, Defenders of the Earth. I think he was made just for the
show. Okay, yeah.
Just for the show, yeah. The Phantom, Flash Gordon, and
Mandrake, right? Mandrake was in it.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, those guys are from the syndicated years.
Yeah.
But the first three figures that were released, the Phantom, Flash Gordon, and Ming the Merciless, were just the beginning. There is a Lothar and a Mandrake figure coming out soon. So Nick, I really wanted you to know about that. So here's something interesting. You might love this, Ian.
I do like a good wolf.
NECA's Werewolf from an American Werewolf in London figure is coming.
And I would like to see them do I like the diorama on this, but I would like to see them do one like a transformation figure of
in between.
Yeah, but this is looks like he's got some articulation like in his arms and his paw and even his legs. So it's
Walmart has been doing some really good stuff, especially with their detail.
I'd like to know what Rick Baker thinks of that since he worked on it. Like what he would think of how the toy looks, I should say.
So Walmart has announced a pinball. Well, the box is based on a pinball machine from Ninja Turtles. Now, this will be like a Loot Crate, but going to Walmart. You're going to get, a whole bunch of stuff, T-shirts, keychains, and a unique Shredder figure. It'll be a limited edition. And then also, that's been announced from Loot Crate.
Yeah.
TMNT Limited Edition Series 2 featuring Danny from the 1990 movie.
How cool is it for, I don't know the actor's name, but for to have your own action figure?
Exactly. And you know what was nice? NECA even took that extra step to make his t-shirt the actual Sid Vicious t-shirt.
Now, I wonder if they go into, eventually if they'll do series like Ninja Turtles 2, if they'll do like an Ernie Reyes Jr. figure.
That'd be interesting. As a loop,
pretty cool.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
So this is actually kind of rounding up the cast. If you got Judith Hogue for,
well, we're getting her sometime. Yeah, sometime this year, and then a maskless Casey has also been talked about.
So yeah, you're kind of rounding out the human element of the movie.
Pretty much, which is great. I mean,
unless they make a Tatsu, they make Tatsu. Maybe they can make him.
They've been trying to find him. Apparently, he's a farmer. I've heard different things. Like he had his own gym in LA for a while, and now recently I heard he's somewhere in Japan.
Yeah.
So they're trying to find him. They're working on likeness rights. They just can't seem to either find him or make a deal with his family.
Right.
So along with this Loot Crate themselves are releasing 4 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle themed boxes, each with its own unique figure. So box 2 is going to feature Armageddon from Tournament Fighters. Box 3 is Claw Shredder from the comics. And box 4 is the Dark Turtle, which is basically Donatello dressed up as Batman, or a Batman-like character.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing. If you got the loot or money, you can purchase all the boxes and get a human Scrag. Now, Loot Crate is opened the window until March 23rd for all these boxes. So if you're a Turtles fan, this is right up your alley. Super 7 has announced a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Super Cyber figure. Now, you may remember these as the figures that are see-through. They've done an Optimus Prime one, which was kind of...
Yeah, I actually saw a picture of him yesterday, and I mistook it for... Sorry, real quick. I mistook it for Voltron.
Yeah, I can see where...
Like one of those kind of things. But the see-through's kind of cool.
It is. I like the gears on some of them, but I love the fact that you can actually see the Power Rangers inside his chest.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. So he's joining the Super Cyborg line, 11 inches tall and basically clear. So that's pretty cool. If you're especially with a MMPR fan.
Or just a giant robot fan.
Even that, yeah. I mean, Super 7 is doing some great stuff overseas characters.
Yeah. You know what? I'd like to see them tackle the Japanese Spider-Man.
Yes.
That would be cool.
That would be excellent, especially when I can't believe they found them all on that 6.
Yeah.
I mean, that was amazing.
That would be pretty sweet if they did that.
Yeah. So, Diamond Select Toys has released images of their PVC statue line and will include Bruce Lee for $49.95. It will also include Destro from the G.I. Joe line. Now, we've been seeing a lot of characters from G.I. Joe, but coming out of different companies other than Hasbro. So I'm kind of curious as to why that is.
Money, maybe, but a lot of Destro, though.
Definitely. Well, a lot of G.I. Joe. Because, Fortnite just had their Snake Eyes figure release or announcement.
Okay.
Eric Draven, the Crow, he's retailing for $175. Animated Sabretooth. Oh, sorry.
I would say they got really close with the likeness, just 99% almost. It looks like Brandon Lee, but this tiny little percent in my mind says it doesn't, but it's a very good sculpt.
Yeah, yeah.
It's well done. The colors are very nice. It's like before he went out and got into fights and the makeup is wearing off or get bloody or whatever. So very nice.
He's another character that's making a comeback. Mezco's making one for him.
The Crow. Yeah, I think we talked about that last week, right? The Crow figure.
Yeah, yeah. So the Crow's having a resurgence. I'm wondering why. So Sabretooth from the animated X-Men. He'll also be part of this collection. Dark Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
With the diorama. This looks kind of nice.
Yeah, she looks better than I think she looks nicer than the Sabretooth. This is a nicer presented piece.
Oh yeah, definitely. Black Widow.
Hmm.
She's coming out for $175. And Bo-Katan from the Mandalorian or Clone Wars.
Yeah, and both.
And both.
You have both, yeah.
She will be limited to 3,000 pieces, $175. And rounding off Diamond Select is Darth Vader.
That's pretty cool.
And TIE Fighter.
Can you go back to Vader for a second?
Yeah.
I just want to see something. So on Vader's chest plate, so it's right beneath the it's going to be where all the buttons would be. If you look above his hand where that silver piece is, when they were making his costume, it basically looks like a vending machine quarter slot.
Oh wow.
And so that, and there's something else about him, but yeah, I was just looking for that. That's why I should pop back. It would be cool if they lit up the stuff on them though. If, like the red and the blue buttons, if it lit up like on the actual suit, that would be a nice touch.
Yeah, definitely. And then the mini mates from Diamond Select. Now here's another license that everybody's got them now. And here's something else that kind of weirds me out about these guys. Now they're great in robot mode, but a transformer that doesn't transform kind of makes me feel like I'm missing out on something.
It's just a robot.
Pretty much. I mean, Hasbro has their RED collection of Transformers that don't transform. Super 7's doing their Ultimates.
Well, the reactions.
Right.
Right?
And well, reactions and Ultimates, because you get all that extra stuff. Like the other day they had a picture of Optimus Prime playing basketball in Circle.
Yeah.
And then some more from Diamond Select. Animated Wonder Woman was just announced from Justice League as a bust. And a mini mate of the Iron Giant. Now, this is actually pretty cool. I might pick this up.
This is the Iron Giant?
Yeah. When, he's in a death, attack kill mode.
Oh, okay. I would like to... Do they make one of just the regular look of the Iron Giant? Do you know if they ever did? I would like to see that.
I don't know if they made it in this scale.
I would like to. I kind of feel like they should have went with that first. Because to me, this just looks like a giant robot.
But it still looks
which
cool.
It is.
Even if you didn't know Iron Giant, this is a cool figure.
Yeah.
And number one toy of this year.
The child. He
gets his own bust from Diamond Select. Not that this is the number one toy, but it's the number one character for toys.
I just have a question, not even about the toy, but where is the series going to go now? Are they going to bring him back, or is he done with the show?
That's an interesting question.
I don't know. And if he's done with the show, will it lose its following because of that? Said people went into the show because of the Mandalorian, but I think they stayed because of the child.
Possibly. Although I often wonder, if they took away the child,
would it have been as good?
Exactly, since day one. Would I personally watch it? I think I would.
I think if they kept it, if the bounty, if he was just going after bounties,
right?
I think it would have been fine. But I think it would have been popular because it would have been like an action show. But because they threw him in, and then it was kind of like, getting back to you got to get him back to the Jedis. that kind of created a whole different type of thing, and it brought in other Star Wars characters, and of course the surprise at the end of season 2. So would it be successful? I think it would be successful. I don't know if it would be as successful.
Okay.
But then again, nobody can predict what's going to be successful or not. It's just, that's tough.
Well, here's something I know will be a success. Is coming out. Wrecker from the Bad Batch has been announced. So we almost got the whole gang together except the techie.
The whole batch. And this is going to be streaming on he's kind of cool looking. On May 4th, on Star Wars Day. On Disney Plus, May 4th.
Disney Plus.
Look at that. Speaking of Disney Plus, fans might want to be checking their accounts because the streaming service will be have a cost increase to $7.99 a month, and it'll be $79.99 per year. So you might want to just check your fine print there.
Yeah, definitely. I just found out about this the other day.
Yeah, it's the first I heard of it when you mentioned it before.
Yeah, just by goofing around on my Apple TV.
And sometimes that's the way you have to find it because you don't know, and you're like, why is my bill higher?
Yeah. So if you're a fan of The Boys, Medicom Mafex Billy Butcher's coming out based on the likeness of
Carl Urban,
Mr. Judge Dredd himself.
Or Lord of the Rings. Yeah, he's great.
He's great in everything.
Yeah, that's the first time I saw him was in Lord of the Rings, and he was really good in that.
Yeah, and this figure is awesome. Most Medicom figures, double joints and stuff.
Baby.
This is diabolical. It comes with a baby with the laser eyes from the show. So I can't wait for this. Now, Medicom says it's going to be released in September, but they don't have a great track record when releasing stuff, especially during these COVID times. It's understandable, but it would, if you're interested, pray for September.
Yeah.
So Hasbro also released another figure in their movie masterpieces line. If I can find it. I really gotta get it. Here we go. Optimus Prime from the Bumblebee movie. MPM 12. Now, the figure itself is iffy, but if you're into that hyper detail on your Transformers, this is right up your alley. For me, I like the regular masterpiece Optimus Prime. The one that talks sounds just like Peter Cullen, and the Japanese actor that did his voice for Japan.
Right.
So that's awesome. So no release date yet, but I'm telling you, all those Michael Bay movies should have taken a cue from the first 2 minutes of that Bumblebee movie, because I would have loved to have seen those first 2 minutes on every movie instead of flaming Optimus Prime and no talking Bumblebee. But that's just me. So Mesco Toys started releasing images from their Mesco Toy Fair. And their first image was Uncle Fester from the LDD line.
You know what? I don't like the way he looks. I like the way Cousin It looks, though.
Cousin It looks amazing.
I like how his hair curls. I like the John Lennon glasses. I like the hat. Uncle Fester looks like, and you ever, in those old cartoons, whatever, you have like 3 kids standing on each other's shoulders to look like an adult.
Right.
That's what he looks like to me. And just, that head is just like creepy.
Well,
I guess it does in a way. I mean, if you look dead center at his face, the eyes and the nose, it looks like Charles Addams, but the head is too newborn babyish. But it does have a look of the original strips, the cartoons.
Could you imagine getting something like this for your baby and just having it on their shelves next to a teddy bear, just staring at you as you're trying to sleep?
Well, Cousin, it could be your teddy bear. Really, when you think
to a very creepy child.
Yeah, I dig it. I really like the way he looks. I would actually like to know what's underneath the hair and how they made the toy. You know, is it just a bundle? Is it just like a plush, or you know, is there some kind of like structure to it, holding, you know, that's all the hair is all into? If that
I
makes
guess
sense.
we'll find out when they release it.
Yeah,
And now here's something a little more disturbing for you folks.
that's just disgusting.
The Silent Hill Bubblehead figure nurse. 14, excuse me. Nope, the grub's 14 inches, sorry. But yeah, look at that detail. That's crazy.
That's the splatter.
From Silent Hill 2. I've not seen the movie, so
I haven't seen either. Yeah.
sorry, folks. But it's coming out from Mezco from their LDD line. And then also is the 14-inch adorable grub.
Chunky grubness.
He's their mascot, essentially. So
Mezco's, right?
Yes.
Oh, yes. That's just look at his butt. Yeah, that's yes, that's the mascot who's like always in different, like he was like a samurai once, wasn't he?
yes.
Okay, yeah. I like how he looks. He's kind of cute.
Yeah, he's an interesting
He's got
guy.
he's got like the chubby little baby legs and the baby belly.
Yeah.
He's giving a finger, which all babies do. So it's pretty cool. 14 inches is
Well,
that's good.
all right, enough of this doll talk. Let's get into some action figures from the 112 line. They're releasing the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Green Ranger. I mean, what more can you say about Mezco? They do good stuff. I mean,
They do.
soft goods, superposability.
That's a nice picture too, because it almost looks like somebody's there by the ocean.
Right. He probably comes with like a million different types of accessories.
Yeah.
And then also is Caesar from Conquest of the Planet of the Apes.
It's good detailing on the head,
Yeah.
because it looks like the makeup of that day, without making it look like the makeup of that day. Like you could see it, but you could also see a figure, you know, not just an actor wearing makeup. So it makes you see both.
Look like a mask, yeah.
Yeah, so well done.
And then if you want to add some more Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, these guys look like they're ready to break out of jail.
Yeah, they're going ape.
Pretty much. Going gorilla.
They're going gorilla. Well, yeah, they are apes, you know, so anything without a tail is considered an ape, but they each have a different face. Am I correct?
Yes.
Very nice. See, that's nice that they didn't just like give them all the same look, and you know,
Right.
that's dedication. I like that.
And here's a straight up yellow and blue Wolverine.
It looks pretty good. Like, I like how the mask looks. You can see like the hair on his arms.
Yeah.
That's
Their Batman figures and Wolverine figures, for some reason, always come out excellent. I mean, most of their stuff's excellent, but something in particular about their Wolverine and Batman lineups.
Yeah, I just think some things transfer better. I guess transfer better to toys than, you know, others, and I guess that look of that character does.
And
Wolverine could be a tough one too, because if you look at that mask, it could very well not look as well, but they got it to work.
Yeah, I love my Old Man Logan figure from Mezco. I mean, that's a beautiful figure. You know, leather jacket, you know, Indiana Jones top hat. I mean, it's awesome. And even the X-Force figure, where he's all dressed up in gray, that's a beautiful figure as well from Mezco. Now, here's something that came out as a surprise: a Fantastic Four box set. How cool is that?
Everybody, Susan Storm looks a little bit like she's an animated version, but I mean, it looks good, but like everybody looks great. You know, you get the detail on the thing, and you got the flames on Johnny, but just on certain spots.
That's what I like most about this.
Yeah, he's not just like colored red and
exactly.
a bunch of stripes on him.
Translucent,
yeah. And then you got, of course, Mr. Incredible's hand going gigantic or something. That's pretty cool.
And then here's some stuff from the Rumble Society, which is 112's own line of figures. I don't know who this character is. I'm sorry, folks. but I have heard of the shark. Apparently, he was in some sort of comic. So
I don't know.
now here's something beautiful. I may pick this up.
Yeah,
Batman by Gaslight.
that actually is rather nice. I like the cape.
Yes.
Everything about that cape I like.
And I love the detail, just like in the book, where they don't darken his eyes in the mask.
Actually, yeah, I didn't notice that until you said it, and it doesn't look funny. It looks good.
It looks incredible.
Which I think in any other case it would look funny, but this looks really good.
Yeah,
and it makes that's actually really incredible.
Yeah, they really took their time and effort into this particular figure, and it shows.
Yeah.
Ultraman is also coming from the 112 line, as well as Spider Ghost, or Ghost Spider, excuse me. Now, this is a great figure. I'm just not too thrilled with the character. I don't care if she is.
Isn't it?
It's Gwen Stacy.
That's what I thought. Spider Gwen, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Well,
okay.
they changed her name.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, I didn't know that part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. To me, that's one of those comic taboos. I always believe Gwen Stacy died. She still needs to be dead. I don't care if she is from a.
You might as well bring back Uncle Ben.
Give it another 10 years.
Yeah.
Spider Ben.
Well, I'm surprised there's not. Peter died and Ben becomes the Spider.
Right. And then G.I. Joe Destro.
There he is again.
How cool is this, though? I mean, look at the detail on his teeth. Wow. He's all happy and smiling. And
well, you know why? He's going to see the Baroness.
He is. He's going to make some money.
Or he just did. I don't know. One of those.
And then the Mike Myers LDDS Troll Doll.
Leatherface.
Leatherface, excuse me.
They call it a troll doll?
What did I say? Oh, well, no. Somebody was playing a joke on me. Sorry, folks. This is a MDS Texas Chainsaw Leatherface.
Right.
Leatherface, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do horror well. Mm. And then the It Doll MDS Mega Scale.
It looks like it's it. That's it. What's funny is it's not cousin, but like the bald head is so pronounced on this, and that's how we looked in the when Tim Curry played him.
Hmm.
But it's really like boom, like Egghead from Batman showing like just. But again, I'm not really a fan of these things, these dolly things, but. If you're a collector or a fan of the book or the movie It, and if you're really like the 90s version, and you're a Tim Curry fan, then this is right up your alley.
Yeah.
It's right up your sewer, I should say.
And here's the Chucky doll.
This is based off the movie, the new movie?
No, the original.
The original?
Yeah, he's going to come in that Best Buddy.
Okay, yeah.
And he's going to have 4 phrases.
No, what's interesting about this picture is he doesn't look, evil. He looks like a nice, friendly little doll.
Well, this is before he gets possessed.
Yeah.
So he's one of those buddies. And
okay, so this isn't. I got you. This isn't.
Right.
Yeah,
so
this isn't Chucky. But yeah, this is the doll before. This is the doll he wanted, not the doll that he got.
Exactly. 15 inches tall. Says 4 phrases. $98.
Wow. Well, he Chucky has a huge following.
He does.
And I don't know why I would say I'm not surprised. I mean, I liked the first movie. I saw the first 3, I think.
Did you? Yeah, I only stopped at the first.
Yeah. But yeah, he's got a big following.
Yeah. So I just want to give a congratulations and a thank you to everyone that supported this book. Toys That Time Forgot Volume 3 has reached its funding goal. So it's all gravy from here, folks. Just tell a friend, have them purchase a book, and we'll get those stretch goals Blake hinted.
Nice.
So congratulations to Blake. And now, for our He-Man fans, Faking Filmation, a story about a He-Man fan that made his own cartoon based on the animation of Filmation using the character Faker, will kickstart on April 6th. This is a documentary from the great Rob McCallum, who brought us video game box art and Powers of Grayskull, the definitive He-Man and the Masters of the Universe documentary. So their Kickstarter will be on April 6th, and Rob will be on the show coming soon. So please support this. I'm excited for it. Like Pixel Dan said, anything He-Man is always good. So let's get into some other news. You remember Quantum Leap?
I do. I did not watch it, but I remember it.
You didn't watch it?
No.
Great show. I gotta get you a DVD for Christmas.
I know Scott Bakula. What's the dude from behind him? What's his name? The actor?
Oh,
I just know. I remember my Rich, our buddy Rich, and my cousin Brian were huge fans of the show. I'm like, I never understood why. I did watch a few, and I was like, he just jumped from person to person, right?
Yeah, helping lives.
Yeah.
Now, here's the interesting thing about this. The whole time he's trying to get home, but spoilers if you haven't. Actually, you don't mind if I spoil it for you?
Yeah, he probably doesn't get home, right?
Oh, so you didn't know? Yeah, he doesn't.
No, I'm guessing, but okay.
He's not dead, but he just hasn't figured out how to get back into his own body, into his own life,
to make that quantum leap.
Right. So the reason why I'm bringing this all up to you is because they're talking about rebooting it with Scott Bakula as the lead. And it may not be a complete reboot. It may just be a continuation. So we may be able to see
him finally get back.
Yeah.
I think it's better to go with a continuation than a sequel, like a reboot.
Definitely. I feel
especially with the same actor. Like you want to see what happened to this character. You want to see him get back in the end, I think.
Definitely. And here's some He-Man trivia for you folks. His wife is the live-action Teela from Masters of the Universe.
Oh, good.
Yep. Very nice lady. I met her one year at PowerCon.
I didn't know that.
Yep. So Tommy Pickles and the gang are coming back in CGI form. I always loved the Rugrats. Now, here's something that's cool. It'll be on Paramount Plus, the new network. The original cast is back. All except for Christina Cavanaugh, who passed away in 2004. She played Chucky. Nancy Cartwright from Bart Simpson will be taking over the role of Chucky.
I think she had been doing him for a while too, hasn't she?
Chucky?
Yeah, since the lady passed away, isn't that correct?
Possibly.
Yeah,
I don't 100% know.
Yeah, not too familiar. I mean, I know Rugrats, but I didn't really watch it, or I watched a couple. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I loved Rugrats. I even followed when there's a show called All Grown Up.
Yeah.
Where Tommy wants to be a filmmaker and stuff.
Tommy dates Angela, whatever her name is.
Show. Oh no, they're cousins.
Oh,
it's not that type of show.
I had a feeling that was going to happen, but maybe Chucky does.
So I got this email from Mark Millar. I didn't even know he had the Toylines email.
Nice.
Jupiter's Legacy, the show based on the comic from Mark Millar and Frank Quietly, will premiere 8 episodes on May 7th on Netflix.
How did this? I mean, that's right around the corner. This is the first I'm hearing of this.
Oh no, this has been in the works.
Oh really? It's been in the works for a while.
Yes. Mark Millar had his own section of the Image universe, the Millarverse, and he sold it all to Netflix.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's living the good life, and we're all going to enjoy his creations.
Some sad news. If you're a special effects fan and like to read about it, the great Cinefex magazine, the final issue will be out. It's 172, pictured here. Cinefex has been actually since the 80s, and probably a little before that, the magazine you go to when you want your background on special effects in a movie. And the one I'll quote for reference is the the issue that did the Rocketeer, because that is extremely detailed, and then they did a well-written art series like for each movie. It was like one article, but it's well written and researched. It just tells you everything. So like this, it's actually really sad that this magazine is coming to an end. I wish they would go digital, but if less practical effects are being done, I guess and it's all CGI. I mean, there's enough stuff covering that, but in a way, it's the end of an era, because a lot of guys in Hollywood doing monster makeup, practical effects, this was their Bible, so a little bit of a bummer.
Definitely. Yeah, we're in a weird age now.
Yeah.
So, the new title of Spider-Man No Way Home will be the third feature in the Marvel Studios Spider-Man trilogy.
This is his last movie, I think. Is that correct? Is it the contract's up at this point?
Yeah,
They'd have to renegotiate?
Yeah, his contract is up after this movie, but I don't know if they're going to renegotiate. I know they've said that they don't want to continue without the original cast, and that includes Zendaya. So
I think she's replaceable, whereas he isn't as Peter Parker, because you could always bring in a new girl for a love interest. If you have to start all over again, that means, well, then again, that means
they also want to keep Ned.
Yeah, I hope they bring him back, because he's young enough. He looks young enough to play the character still longer.
Yeah, I think they were going for that originally.
Yeah, I hope, and he's good. He's pretty good at it. So,
yeah. So, My Little Pony is making a comeback. Netflix has greenlit Entertainment One's My Little Pony CGI movie this fall, and a series will follow after the movie premieres on Netflix, and will continue the adventures of Sunny Star Scout and her friends.
That is the worst name. That is such an adult filmmaker name. Not that I watch that kind of stuff.
Right. So here's something came out of left field. Nickelodeon and Hasbro have announced a new animated Transformers series of 26 half-hour episodes, and is described as an action comedy. And here's the premise. There is a new species of Transformers, and they get adopted by a human family.
I think Nickelodeon should focus more on the Turtles.
Yeah. They should.
You got this franchise.
You know what? Then again, we don't know what it is. It sounds ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, but
it may not be another Thundercats roar, is what I'm saying.
Oh, no, yeah. I just want to see more Turtles. Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah,
you know what I want to see?
Bought it.
The Last Ronin. That's what I want to see. Speaking of which, what's this?
Is that a custom?
I don't know.
It could be a prototype.
Kevin Eastman tried to do a Facebook Live the other day, and they had all sorts of problems. He was trying to get Tom Walsh in on it, and he's like, and he pulled this figure out, and he's like, yeah, this is the Last Ronin's. It's all the Last Ronin's fault. So I don't know if that's a prototype, a custom. I don't know what it is. All I know is I'm excited for Last Ronin figures. They are coming.
I don't think it's a custom. I think he wouldn't have said it if it wasn't a prototype. Not that I know.
Well, he didn't necessarily say what it was. He just said it was the Last Ronin's fault.
Right. I mean, that part. I don't think he would say it was the Last Ronin's fault and show that without it being an actual teaser.
Right. But this is the one. This is the figure that I'm most excited about, with the hood, all the weapons on him, all the gear.
Yeah.
Because he did say at the end of issue 6 or whenever it ends, he's going to look a lot different. So Superman the Animated Series is returning to HBO, or will be on HBO Max, and it will be for the first time in high definition.
Wow.
This was a great show.
The high def will look nice. The colors, will, especially on his outfit, will really stand out.
Definitely.
Because even though they stood out on regular TV, it had that before TVs became high def. They still were a bit like grainy-ish. So the high def will stand out nice.
Definitely. There has been announced a Superman movie reboot from J.J. Abrams and Black Panther comic writer Ta-Nehisi Coates. No word if Henry Cavill will play the main character of the Man of Steel, but writer Coates has stated that his movie will be part of the DCEU.
So, interesting.
So we're getting an in-continuity Superman story. We just don't know what type of Superman he's going to be. And he did say it was going to be a reboot, whether it is the rebooting Man of Steel or they're just calling it a reboot. But I had no problem with Cavill. I think he made a great Superman.
I'm just kind of tired of reboots, but you don't really have much of a say in it. Like I would hate to see them reboot Spider-Man again. So that's why just please stick with one guy for a while. That's all. So they're having their 700th episode of The Simpsons?
Yeah.
That is incredible.
I remember we were at your sister's birthday party.
You mean my birthday party?
And your birthday. That's right. I'm sorry. And your birthday party. And your cousin comes in and he's like, Simpsons are going to get canceled. Now, this was back in the 90s.
Brian?
Yeah. This was back in the 90s. And it was
right after the show began, too.
It was so foolish, too, because we all agreed with them. They're like, oh, yeah, this show is, it'll never reach 100 episodes.
The problem with it, well, here's the thing. It started on the Tracy Ullman show.
Right.
And then the first season, I was a freshman in high school. The first season only had so many episodes, so under 15, I think. And it took them a while to get. So once those episodes played, you were watching repeat after repeat after repeat, and it was very popular.
Right.
But it took for season 2 to come around with more episodes, and then to do what they do now. But 700 episodes, show is old. And that makes me old. But
it's quite an achievement.
It really is.
I wish all shows would go that long.
It makes you think. I would love to know. I don't know if they ever kept track of this. I don't know. Well, if it was at one point drawn by hand on pencil and then transferred to cell or whatever, how many pencils and how many drawings have been made for this cartoon from episode 1 up until now?
Yeah.
This isn't 700 episodes for a cartoon.
Well, it's all computer
nowadays, yeah. But
but yeah, that's a lot of pages.
Has a cartoon ever hit 700 episodes before? Is this the first time?
Yeah, very first time. Oh, well, it's the longest running American program.
Yeah, and definitely longest running cartoon because it's not like it's just in rerun. It's new episodes. I haven't watched it probably since episode 400. I don't know, but
really, everything's on Disney Plus. That's how I know catching up.
Yeah, there was that nice middle spot where they just had every series has a great spot where they know the characters and they write them well until right before they ruin it, and in that middle, that's where you want to. That's your favorite seasons, and that's what I would probably go back and rewatch on this. Because the new ones, Homer's voice is still, they're getting his voice is evolving throughout each season and so on. And you'll hear those things when you
Marge's voice, I think, has the biggest change.
Yeah. But it's also interesting in that regard to listen to the voice and how it developed over time to what it is today. Mm-hmm. So some cool stuff to it.
Yeah, so the 700th episode will not only be a Christmas episode, it'll also be a flashback episode, which kind of scares me in a way because not too long ago, one of the producers said the last episode of The Simpsons will be a Christmas episode with Homer getting ready to be Santa Claus in episode 1. So,
well,
I don't think it's the end. I haven't heard anything, but
you know,
it's an interesting concept.
if it is the last episode, 700 is pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, I might not go for 1,000, but still, that's an achievement. So,
shoot, I missed this. Sorry, folks. Here is the final reveal from the Mezco Toy Fair: a new Superman figure based on the comic from 112.
He is built, that's for sure.
Yeah. But coming soon to Toylines.com is our toy review of the Christopher Reeve 78 Superman from Mezco Toys. So
nice.
Look out for that. So I just want to give a super shout out to Pixel Dan for being on the show. And thank you, Ian, for being on this episode of our crossover episode of People of Eternia and Toylines.
The Toyline verse.
The book is The Toys of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. You can pick it up at Amazon. But if you're interested in 2 books, log on to thepower-con.com and get yourself the bundle. This is a great effort amongst the community, some choice writers. I'm really happy and really excited. Congratulations to Pixel Dan and everyone that was involved.
Yeah. Well done.
Help our buddy Rob McCallum sell or purchase a Blu-ray of Action Figure Adventure from Big Bad Toy Store. It is a great show, great documentary about his buddy trying to help a bunch of sick children at their hospital get some extra money through toys. And it's a whole history about action figures. It's really a great movie. I highly suggest you pick it up. And I'm not just saying that because I'm in it, Kevin Smith's in it, and Pixel Dan's even in it. Thank you to Brian Salvatore for our intro and outro music. If you're stuck and don't want to help the scalpers, head on over to #collectors helping collectors and see if you can help other collectors as well as collectors helping you complete your collection. Thank you to Scott Knightlick at Spectre Creative. If you have a great toy idea or you need just a fantastic marketer, head on over to Spectre Creative. We are now on YouTube, obviously, at Toylines. Please subscribe, hit that bell, and tell a friend. Join the conversation at toyspodcast@gmail.com or mail at peopleofeternia.com. We are now on all your favorite social or favorite podcasting platforms. Please subscribe, give us a rating, or do both. Enjoy our newest podcast, Rocketeer Radio, featuring the #1 host, the Rocketeer man himself, Ian Westhoff.
Thank you, sir.
People of Eternia is now on all platforms as well. Log on to www.toy-lines.com for all the latest toy reviews. If you like what you see here and are inclined to do so, please support the channel and purchase a t-shirt by logging on to teespring.com/toylines/store-2. Or if you're interested in stuff other than the toy lines, head on over to Teespring. Okay. This is the best I could do. Teespring/people-of-Eternia, or you've got the easiest one, Ian. teespring.com/Rocketeer Radio. Follow us on all social media, Twitter, Instagram at Toylines, and Rocketeer Radio, and at People of Eternia. Find us on Facebook at Toylines or Toy Shelf Magazine. I'm Tom Romero.
Me and my stuff.
Play with your toys. Read a book. Pick up Pixel Dan's book. We'll see you next week.